So Ilia Topuria is the new lightweight champion, and there's one big question that everyone is asking. Who should Ilia fight next at lightweight? Well, a name I've been hearing a lot lately is Arman Tsarukyan. But if you know the Arman Tsarukyan situation, it's kind of obvious on why giving him a title shot right now would be kind of messy. But he is the number one contender, so people think he should just get a title shot anyways. But the question is, does Arman deserve a title shot? And I think the answer is extremely obvious. No, Arman absolutely does not deserve a title shot. Are we all forgetting that he just ruined an entire event? UFC 311 was so stacked. There were so many good fights on that card, and then Arman Tsarukyan pulled out a night before the fights and pretty much just ruined the entire event. And we just got to see Money Wakano get easily submitted in the first round by Islam Makhachev, and that's something everybody knew was going to happen. We also know it wasn't a back injury like Arman said it was, since Dana White and literally almost every single other fighter on the planet says that he wasn't going to be able to make weight. And I mean, it makes sense. Arman Tsarukyan is absolutely massive for the lightweight division, and he just lied to everyone about the back injury, since he didn't want people to know that he just couldn't make weight. All Arman Tsarukyan has to do is win one more fight and then he's back into title contention, but he's just being so entitled. First, they give him Justin Gaethje on short notice, but then Arman couldn't make the weight on time because it was short notice, so it makes sense. So he wanted to do a catchweight fight, but the UFC said no, so Fiziev ended up fighting Justin Gaethje and not Arman. Then they offer him Gamrot, and he says no. But I'll be honest, this fight offer was kind of dumb because Gamrot doesn't really deserve a number one contender spot. But it was still a fight that Arman turned down, and Gamrot does have a win over Arman, so you think Arman Tsarukyan would just say yes to avenge that win. But nope. Arman is just happy to sit back, relax, and demand a title shot without doing anything to earn it. Now, Arman did make weight for the backup fighter for Ilia versus Charles, which is good, but then he goes on to say he also wants to be the backup fighter for Max versus Dustin to prove that he is worthy to fight for the title again, which I feel is so stupid. Bruh, fight literally anyone. Literally fight anyone, and then they'll give you a title shot. Stop offering to be a backup fighter. Backup fighters literally mean nothing. Does everybody remember back when Gamrot was the backup fighter for Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, the rematch? Gamrot was the backup fighter, but then when Charles Oliveira pulled out because he had a cut over his eye, they didn't even use Gamrot and they just got Volk to step in on short notice. I know Arman is super good and he beat Charles Oliveira, but he's being such a spoiled rich kid right now. I'm also so sick and tired of watching people defend Arman Tsarukyan for missing weight and saying that he deserves to fight for the title next. For example, the Jackson podcast. I love the Jackson podcast. I think it's the best podcast out there for MMA, but I am so sick and tired of hearing them glaze Arman whenever they have a chance. In their most recent podcast, they were talking about Ilia versus Charles Oliveira, and they said that it shouldn't have been Charles Oliveira fighting Ilia, and I was like, oh, they're actually going to call out Islam for not fighting Ilia. But then they start saying that it should have been Arman, which is so annoying. I'm not even kidding. Whenever they mention Arman Tsarukyan, they spend the next 5 minutes talking about how great he is and how he did nothing wrong, and act like he just didn't ruin an entire event. And if Arman is in the same room as them, they spend the entire podcast talking about it. Sometimes I'll just be sitting at home and I'll be so bored, nothing really to do, and then I see, oh, the Jackson podcast posted another podcast. Let's freaking go, I love this show. And then I click on it, and then I see Arman Tsarukyan sitting in the corner of the room, and I'm like, oh, damn. Okay, well, I'm switching off of this then. Because whenever I see Arman, I just know they're going to be spending the next 30 minutes talking about how he deserves a title shot. It was a back injury. He can make weight. He's the best lightweight on the planet. A lot of people turned on Bear with the whole Bryce Mitchell thing because he invited Bryce Mitchell onto the podcast and then just kind of ridiculed him and didn't let him defend himself and just attacked him for the entire podcast. But I stuck by Bear. I was like, you know what? Everyone makes mistakes. It was a bad look, but I'll forgive you. But honestly, I don't like Bear that much anymore just because he glazes Arman Tsarukyan so much. Whenever he has the chance, he just talks about how awesome Arman is. And the only reason they glaze Arman Tsarukyan so much is because they're good friends with Arman, and I think every once in a while he even shows up and trains at their gym. And then in the middle of Bear glazing Arman Tsarukyan, Luke Rockhold actually decides to step in and he starts spitting facts, but then Bear immediately shut him down. If the only person in the room speaking logically is Luke Rockhold, then you know something's up. And the other day I made a poll on my channel asking my subscribers who they think deserves a title shot next. And I asked, should Arman Tsarukyan deserve a title shot? And the results were so disappointing. I don't see what point of view people have to see it this way. He ruined an entire event and is doing everything except fighting someone, and he just demands a title shot. This is what Dana White should do. They should offer Arman Tsarukyan one more fight, and if he says no, then bye. Go to PFL. They should cut him from the UFC. The UFC is giving fighters way too much control over who they fight, and that's why we're seeing so many undeserved title shots this year. I know it's kind of a sticky situation since lightweight's kind of complicated and no one really deserves a title shot at the moment except for Arman, but he literally is the cause of the lightweight division being so complicated. He ruined the entire 311 fight, and if he actually just fought on that card, it would have been so easy just to match up like Justin and Paddy Pimblett, have them fight, then the winner fights Ilya. But now Arman just kind of missed his opportunity and is now looking for another opportunity, even though he screwed up the entire event. If Arman thinks he's the best lightweight on the planet right now, then he should have said yes to the Gamrot fight, win, and then just say yes to any other fight the UFC gives him if it wasn't a title shot that they offer him. But to be honest, I think Arman knows he just got lucky in that Oliveira fight, and he doesn't want to risk losing. If his shorts didn't get pulled off in that Oliveira fight, then he's going out in round 1. That's all I'm saying. And honestly, that Oliveira fight wasn't too impressive. Yes, he won, but he got caught in 3 submissions and got saved by the bell twice. Pretty much all he proved in that fight was that he beats Charles Oliveira like 5 out of 10 times, and he pretty much got lucky with his shorts and getting saved by the bell multiple times in that fight. And I'm not even like an Arman Tsarukyan hater, because I've met Arman fans, and their favorite fighter is Arman Tsarukyan, and even they say that Arman was scared to fight Islam, so he pulled out. So even his fans don't think it was a back injury. But anyways, that's going to be the very end of the video. To be honest, it doesn't really matter who gets a title shot. I just thought I'd rant on it. The entire situation is just like, okay, it's a contest to see who the first person to get knocked out by Ilya is. I don't think anyone's going to beat Ilya Topuria, and if you want to see more videos like this, I have a lot. From is Ilya Topuria the GOAT? Honestly, he might as well just be the GOAT since he can do everything. He can knock anybody out, and I'm mentally broken from that Oliveira fight. And I even have a video on how I'm 100% positive that John Jones has been to a Diddy party. So go watch those ones. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.